Welcome to today's episode. If you're listening in, we've got a very amazing and powerful guest, Matt. Matt, help me say your name right. Kreinheder?
Kreinheder.
Kreinheder. Thank you. So Matt Kreinheder, and we're talking about integrating spiritual experiences. Very powerful topic. Had very many powerful spiritual experiences myself, and witnessed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other people who've done really powerful spiritual experiences, whether it's breath work or a deeply profound, retreat or meditation experience or workshop or healing experience or medicine work, things like that, where you can go in and have your whole world kind of destroyed and brought to the ethers, and then come back and be like, now who the hell am I, and where am I, and what am I doing, and how do I fit in this world, and how do I be in this powerful place, especially when you combine the difference between like the healer and the producer, or the capitalist and the whatever. So how do you operate in this world in a powerful way and be able to contribute and still have your feet on the ground from that mystical place? So very excited to be talking about this with Matt and with Diana and Megan and this beautiful group of people. And so let me what I'm going to do real fast, if any of you guys have anything to add real fast, I'm going to share this over to my page so we make sure we can get everyone over there seeing what we're sharing. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about Matt right after I do that.
Perfect. Go ahead, Megan.
I was just going to say, in the meantime, I'd love to hear from you all. Share where you're from. Say hi, say hello. And love to see who's on here with us.
Awesome. And I want to share a little bit, welcome Matt, and share a little bit with all of you about how I connected with Matt. And it's a really amazing story. It's also how I connected with Christopher. I was soul guided to write an article about 2 months ago that just dropped in. I woke up with this knowing that I was going to write this article on the Huffington Post and that there were going to be 10 men in it. And it came through very clearly. And I didn't know Matt and I didn't know Christopher at the time. And I was completely guided, and they showed up and emerged as these amazing leaders, these entrepreneurs, these men that I saw that really embodied heart-based leadership. This combination of bringing the divine masculine and the divine feminine in, of really living an integrated, embodied life that was both spiritual and very grounded. And so I reached out and connected with both of them and asked if they would like to be part of the article I'd already written, but share their take on essentially authenticity and how that showed up for them, and giving this whole different view on like what it means to be authentic. And then coming from these 10 men. So Matt and Christopher are two of the men in the article. You guys can check that out. You can read more about what each of these amazing gentlemen view as what is authenticity, what it means to them. It's called The Magic of Authenticity in Biz, 10 male entrepreneurs who are crushing it and changing the paradigm. And crushing it's not necessarily what you think. So I encourage you to check that out. We'll drop it in the comments later. You can hear about that. And that's how Matt and I first connected, and part of the joy of how this was birthed was I got real clear because I was having these conscious conversations behind closed doors. I did interviews like this with each of the 10 men, and I went, the world needs to see this. I want to be having conscious conversations. This is so incredible. And so it's just such an honor to have you on here, and then I came together with Christopher, and he's like, I had the idea to do conscious conversations. This is so synergistic. And so Soul Yum Life was birthed from that, from all of this yumminess coming together. There's been so many pieces, but that was definitely this part that has also helped it move out from sort of a stuffier conscious conversation into really bringing in the play, really bringing in this soulful piece, this edgy, playful, and expansiveness into the conversation. So I'm super excited, Matt, for you to join us and to be one of our first guests on this amazing new platform we're creating.
Thank you. This is going to be really fun. I'm excited to just be in the conversation, share any wisdom or insight that I might have, and also receive all that from you guys as well. This is just I think a rich, powerful moment for this conversation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Matt. And I just want to take a moment and speak to what Diana said about that article and acknowledge you, Matt. So Diana reached out. It was an automatic yes to be a part of that. When Diana shared the post that she had written for the Huffington Post prior to even interviewing all of us, I cried. Felt deeply heartfelt honor and like this representation by the woman for the masculine, the feminine for the masculine. There was something deeply moving in that for me.
Yeah.
You know, being an authentic, heart-centered entrepreneur in today's world isn't typical. It's not necessarily always easy. And, you know, I know personally, speaking for myself, it's been an up and down journey, a lot of challenges, a lot of success, a lot of failure, a lot of struggle, a lot of pain, and in that journey. And so having her show up in that way and really put us, you know, in the spotlight and say, look at these men who are showing up vulnerably and authentically and from a heart-centered space was just such a beautiful experience for me. And then to actually witness what each of us, and Matt, you being one of us, shared in that article and that post was just beautiful to know. I felt less alone in the world. I felt more like, yeah, something magic about this group of people and this whole inspired action that Diana took, and you know, something beautiful about the masculine and feminine coming together in a whole new way instead of the na stuff that's been typically done between healers and producers or between men and women and all of that. It's just the whole thing is just beautiful to me, and it's been beautiful to see what all's come of that and what's continuing to come of that. And Matt, for you to be included on that list, for her to reach out to you authentically just from her witnessing, and Diana's judgment, and you know, they say the energy doesn't lie. Her judgment's been spot on in my experience. So for her to reach out and say, yeah, you know, Matt, boom, I want him in on this. To me, that just says it all right there.
Yeah, thank you, and I receive what is my part of that. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you for being, you know, on this journey, and for Diana being the catalyst and the spark for all this. It's a really kind of a soul yummy moment, isn't it?
Yes.
Indeed.
So let me finish my introduction real quick of Matt, and then we'll just start to dive into the conversation. So, and I'm just going to read this straight off the page. I'm not going to try to sound like a robot. I'm just going to read it, right? So it says, and this is from Matt directly, the release of my upcoming book, Awakening the Mystics. All right, so just try that on for a minute. One of my all-time favorite mentors, Gay Hendricks, wrote a book called The Corporate Mystic. And it's one of my all-time favorite books. And he talked about bringing spiritual practices and mindfulness practices and flow state and the state of ease and grace and a deeper spiritual purpose to the workplace. So we kind of have, in our corporate world, there's like corporate, and then there's these weird spiritual people. And combining the two, there's certainly principles within shamanism or many other paths that are powerful, mindful processes and ways of being that can allow whatever we're creating in this material world be much more easeful and enjoyable and fulfilling and aligned so that it actually works versus not working. So all that to say, I haven't read the book. I don't even know what you're putting in it, but I have this kind of sense of like, I do know. And I'm really happy that you're bringing that message to the world. So thank you.
Thank you.
And he said, should be due out by the end of the year. So it sounds like your plan is to have that done end of this year and release that for people to start digesting and receiving the goods and the insights that you've received on your journey, however that may be. I don't know your story, so I'm excited to hear a little more about how did you come to this place of being a professional in the business world today who has, you know, he talked about the corporate mystic being someone who has the ability to tune into the ethers, but still has their feet on the ground. Like you're still grounded and solid, not lost in the ethers, not just lost on the earth, but having access to the goodness of both.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the next point was serving many conscious entrepreneurs and high performers in the greater Southern California area with his healing and transformational practice. So I'm assuming that means you have a coaching / healing / transformational practice. You bring in these high-end entrepreneurs and you help them integrate some of the things that I've already mentioned into their life to have that balance and that fulfillment and that alignment and that joy and that ease, so that they can actually enjoy their life rather than chasing, all the other stuff that might leave them empty and tired and worn out and whatever else.
Yeah, exactly right.
Epic. So then next piece was editor and writer for the Association for Reorganizational Healing Practice. Over 60 articles written and distributed to doctors all over the world. Great accomplishment.
Wow.
Thank you.
And then last but not least, 4 degrees. Now, what 4 degrees do you have? That's just amazing to me.
Undergrad degrees in music and business, master's in acupuncture, and a doctorate in chiropractic.
Wow.
So what an epic combination. So again, no wonder why that gives me more insight as to why you're writing about what you're writing about.
Yeah.
Beautiful combination. And do you do the network chiropractic?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Ooh.
Do you know Dr. Whalen out of
Not really well, but yeah.
He's freaking epic, and we saw him for quite some so we know network chiropractic. We've done regular chiropractic of various modalities and types. Network is our all-time favorite.
Amazing.
And that is just one of the deepest, most profound and simple works ever. So I just love you already. Now I'm ready to shut up and hear you talk.
Yeah. Wow.
Real quick, before you do, I want to make sure everyone who's watching and commenting is actually on the Soul Yum Life page. I want you to join in the actual conversation while it's happening live, or even on the replay. We'll check back. So make sure whatever page this is broadcasting to, that you are on Soul Yum Life and that you are commenting here. So
happy you're here.
Yes, so if you comment on my personal page, we won't actually receive the comment and be able to interact with you. If you comment from Soul Yum Life, we'll receive it right here, and we can interact with you and answer questions and have this be more of a, instead of us talking to you, the listeners, we can talk with you. This can be a dialogue. So please go to the Soul Yum Life, like it, so that you get the updates every time we go live, and you can be a part of the conversation, and come over and comment. Engage, ask questions, share thoughts and insights that are coming through, so that, again, this is an interactive experience with us and you, instead of you just being talked at. You deserve more than that. So go there and interact with us. We love hearing from you and having you be a part of shaping the conversation. And I've got up on the screen right now the Diana posted in here for you the article that we were speaking about earlier. So I've got that up. So if you want to click on that or check that out, that's an option for you.
And I think you can just click right on the video and it should bring you right to the page, just for ease of use. And then those who are just listening in, welcome.
So without further ado, Matt, talk to us, man. What do you want to share? What would you intro or come in with about this topic of integrating these deeply profound spiritual experiences that leave you in that place?
Yeah, it's a big topic. It's a fascinating topic. And I realized when I moved to Southern California over 2 years ago that it was a critical topic to be talking about, because of the nature of my work and kind of the way that I interact with people and this mix of healing and coaching. And I always like to say my favorite thing to do is help people bridge the gap between where they are and where their soul demands that they must be. So in that gap, you have all these experiences that have to happen, all these wake ups, all of these kind of coming into a next version of who you are, a more deep connection with the true self. And that's amazing and powerful, and it can really mess stuff up. It can be really challenging and hard to do that. And people are doing this in all kinds of different ways. And I think that there's some good strategies and awarenesses to have so that it doesn't become destructive. And I've seen that happen over and over, that people just go down the rabbit hole. And that's fine. I don't have a judgment on that. If that's what they're looking to do, just get into the next and next and next weird experience. Cool. Your life, go ahead and do it. My value is for service and taking care of people and impact in the world. And for the people who want that, I think that there's some awarenesses that need to be brought on board in order to really start to anchor into making spirituality useful, not just for you and your exploration. It should be that, and it should also be rippling out into the world.
I've got to dive in here because for me, you know, I went through a very intense experience in my mid-20s and then later some more, you know, my mid to late 20s, I just went through this really heavy, hard time. And I dove in during that time to consciousness and became what I would call now a seeker of truth, a seeker of enlightenment. And, you know, basically after 15 years of that, there was one night I did actually a profound medicine journey, and it was so deep and profound and intense that, and really the primary message in that was, dude, are you just going to seek for the rest of your life? Are you just going to keep chasing this next profound experience? Are you seriously going to live your entire life just next? Are you done yet? Have you entertained yourself enough yet? Have you dove down the rabbit hole enough times and ways and directions? Do you realize yet the rabbit hole doesn't end? Is this really how you want to spend your life? And so the whole, and it really fucked me up for about 6 months. I was just like, my primary motivator prior to that was achieving enlightenment. And when that motivator was gone, it was like I had this rocket ship and this driving force that was relentless. And now all of a sudden that was gone. The fuel was gone. The driving force was gone. And then I had this deep question, well, who am I now? And how do I function in the world from this place? And if I'm not here to save anybody, I'm not here to fix anything, I'm not here to figure anything out, I'm not here to keep having these crazy experiences, now what? And so I have been able to reintegrate since then, and I'm still integrating that and expanding into my next expression and what this means for me. But the short version is, now what I'm interested in is how much positive impact can I have in a way that is totally joyful and enjoyable and connective and relaxed and easeful. It's like it takes the urgency off, takes the pressure off, takes my savior hero complex off, and it just is allowing me to rebuild my life in a way that I can actually relax and embrace the beauty and everything as it is. And make new choices in a way that just allows the journey to be enjoyable. It doesn't mean I'll stop having profound experiences. It's just stop being a junkie about it and you know, integrate and allow it to be fun and easeful and just slightly shift the focus so that it's nothing to do with seeking. It's really about receiving life as the gift versus all of the seeking and the healing and the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I love that. And you're absolutely right. And I think people go in stages. You know, there is a time that we have to do this more and more and more because we've really got to crack ourselves open to something new and in a wider perspective on what reality is and who we are as human beings. We need to just soak that in. And then I believe at some point that becomes what I call spiritual hoarding or light hoarding, that we're just taking all this in and it's all for us. And if we do that, we're really kind of at odds with the way that the universe works because we are meant to be moved through. It's not our spirit that we get to take little bits of and give to someone. It's the spirit that moves through us. And if we just take, that energy, that light, that power, that spirit kind of stagnates inside. And the only way it can tell you that it's not the right thing is that it's got to mess your life up. So if you can start to recognize like where you are in that process of receiving and filling yourself up and then overflowing so that you have to give, it makes things a whole lot easier because I've met a lot of people who've done a lot of spiritual work and their life is a mess. And it's because they're not taking care of other people. You know, they're not letting it move through and they're attached and it's scary. They think if they give it up that they're not going to have it, and they don't realize that giving it up is what allows you to have more. So I love that story and I completely identify with that. And there's just this transition of recognizing at this new set point after you fill yourself up, where does the joy come from? And it doesn't come from just you having the experience. It really actually comes from giving the experience away to other people.
I love that. So receive it and give it away.
Yeah. Yeah. Simple, right? So simple.
Yeah, it just that continues the cycle, like just the flow. Talk
Yeah.
about like wanting to create that ease and flow, like yeah, and the give and receive. Like I love what you just shared.
Thank you.
And it's also just that beautiful piece to just kind of check in, like where am I at?
Yeah.
And,
And to recognize that it is a cycle, and there may be moments where you pull back from service and really take it in for yourself. And one of the things that I wrestle with is how to have both a deeply spiritual, private, sacred practice and be out in the world talking about this and feel like I can have my own personal relationship with the divine and not everyone needs to know about it. And I also want to make sure that I'm sharing what's rich and deep and really powerful, and knowing that at some levels there is no boundary, that everyone's experience, and I'm also a human being, and I don't want to share all of that. So just in the same way that there's a development this way, there's a development this way of what you need in each moment. There's a moment by moment recognition of maybe it's not time to share, and maybe it is. So just kind of recognizing that, I think, is also valuable.
Yes.
I'm just really soaking all this in. I just want to acknowledge each voice that's emerged here and each point. This is seeming to be my experience with these calls, is where my higher self comes in and goes, "Ooh, there's like 12 articles I want to write about this. Let's go down the rabbit hole of this topic," right? Because the rabbit hole is never ending, and there's so many ways we can explore it. And I love what you said at the beginning. It really popped around being this bridge between where we're at, and then it's like this soul calling. Can you say what you said again? Because it was so profound. I wanted to write it down the way you said it. I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah. I help people bridge the gap between where they are and where their soul demands that they must be.
That is so powerful, because for me, my life is a calling. It's not a career. It's not, like I have degrees like you, not chiropractic, but master's in counseling, a license in psychotherapy that I've used as part of what shapes and influences how I show up. But my soul calls through me in a way that is so different than that, and that rocks that boat so deeply, and that requires me, like a must, show up this way. And for me, the scream has been be authentic. And I went, well, what the actual fuck does that mean? Like, and how do you monetize that? And that was my struggle. And the moment I stopped struggling and I actually said, okay, my soul is demanding this, and I listened, that's when the flow opened, movement happened. I started to get the pieces as they were aligned, and I stopped rushing from where I call it my personality self. I don't even love the word ego always, because that has so much dogma and stuff attached to it. It's like almost like the word narcissist. Everyone's like, no, this is what ego means. And this, it's like, okay, yeah. My personality self is how I identify with it, as like, she wants something, and it's not always soul aligned. Mm-hmm. And so I just really resonate deeply with that aspect of what you said. And I'd love to hear more about what emerges for you around that piece.
Yeah. It's so everyone has a kind of unique way that they experience other people. And I believe, to the best of my wisdom and investing a lot of time into understanding my gifts, that I'm really designed to just see deeply into the truth of who someone is, be with that and hold that truth in that space until they can acknowledge it and see it and step into it for themselves. And the way it kind of happens for me is I get into a conversation with someone, and have you guys seen the Iron Man movies? Yeah. So in the Iron Man movies, he has a personal assistant, Jarvis, right? And Jarvis has like a 3D rendering capability. And when Iron Man wants like to look at a part in the suit, he can just explode it into the 3D render of Jarvis and sees it live. So when I'm talking to someone, there's a moment where this just starts to happen. It's like oh, I can see where you are. I can see where you've been. I can see the fullness of all these experiences that have cultivated in this moment. And because of that, I can see where you're going. And I can see all the stuff that's kind of standing in the way. And this is going to be painful and that's going to be amazing. But this is where you got to go, man. And there's no stopping that train. And what do I do? How do I gently massage and just kind of open space so you can naturally fall your way into that new version of who you have to be, for me, for you, for all the people that you're meant to be here for, and just answer that call more and more regularly on a daily basis, on a moment-to-moment basis, and just kind of fall into that truth in a more easy and natural way. So there's this interesting process that I don't know, it maybe sounds woo-woo or esoteric or whatever, but it just kind of happens where I'm like, oh, this is what you're fucking built for. And how do I help you see and honor that? And how do I get to be in the excitement of being around you as you build that and see what comes of it? So it's just one of the most exciting parts of my life, is being able to do that, mostly with my coaching clients, but sometimes in the healing practice too.
I'm deeply experiencing the level of integration that there's a lot of people in the coaching space that say a lot of smart shit. And like I said earlier, like the energy never lies. The words can say whatever the words say, but the energy never lies. And I'm experiencing you as deeply integrated and aligned and very clear. Very, very clear. Like, yep, this is who I am. This is who I help. This is what I do. Here's how it is. And the topics of knowing very well those things. I've spent years talking to business coaches and marketing coaches, and they try to get you to practice and learn an elevator's pitch and to know, niche down and all the different aspects. And it can be very challenging for people like us who have a vast skill set, a deep love, a deep desire to serve, I get that you have so much more to offer, just any one of the things that you've done or do or are, from your music to your chiropractic to network chiropractic is a whole nother topic in and of itself, to all the deep consciousness and wisdom and everything you've learned and picked up on your journey, to narrow it down to, yep, I do this way with these people. For me, that's been very challenging. And so to experience that level of clarity with ease, of you just being you, just feels really yummy for me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, it's this funny place for me, and I want to always, when I receive a reflection like that, own what's my part, and also recognize that, just like we were saying before, it's also not me. It's just me having been continually willing to let Spirit move through me in whatever way it needed to show up how it has to through this specific kind of refracting and reflecting lens of a human being. So I receive the part that's mine to receive, and we'll both say thank you together for whoever's running the show up there for whatever it's doing, right?
Yes. Beautiful. And I don't want to dominate the conversation. I want to hear from these ladies, but there's a piece that's really wanting to come through me right now, and it's around a piece I watched from Alan Watts within the last year, and it deeply impacted me along the same lines of what we're talking about, where I did this powerful medicine journey and my fuel tanks were, my driving force was gone. And he's like, yeah, life's not, in this one video, he has a lot of epic stuff, obviously, but in this one, he's like, what if life isn't a destination? What if it's not a journey? What if it's a dance? He's like, consider music. If it's all about the destination, then composers would be writing a song where it was just one note, one final finale, just and then and it'd be so awesome. But he's like, that's not how it works. Like, we want to go on the ride. It's got to have all this other stuff involved. And then he shows the birds flocking together, and he shows the song and the dance in nature, and just says, when we think of life as a journey, and we can say that, well, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But even thinking about the journey insinuates that there is a destination.
Right. And
so moving to this place of, and that's what I think is really profound about that you you know, typically in the corporate world, if you said, yeah, I have a degree in music or the arts or something, be like, that's not so special. But me, I'm like, holy shit, that's actually probably more important than many of the other things. I didn't grow up that way. I grew up as a farm boy, kind of just tough. And it's only been recently, I'm taking guitar lessons. My fingers are a little numb right now. I'm taking guitar lessons for the first time in my life. I see these guitars hanging on your wall, and I'm getting it on a whole new level. Like, holy shit, the art and the song and the dance, these are the joys. These are the beauty. These are the connectors. Like, and of course, there's many ways to do all those things, but the more I can start to live in that way, as if life is a song and a dance, versus a journey or a destination or an accomplishment or a conquering or any of the other attitudes that I've had about life. I'm excited to be exploring those realms. And I had the thought, if you wanted to, after we say a few more cool things, play us like a 60-second awesome sauce something. I don't know if you got some song or quick guitar thing or something, that would be really
I'll
cool.
Put him on the spot at all.
So let me speak to two things. I'll come back to that in just a second. I love what you described about the dance and the path, because that's the masculine and feminine, right? That's the solar and lunar. And the path for me, I love, because there's still a part of me that wants to get in there and drive the ball forward and make it happen and help the people and do all that. And I recognize that in my masculine aspect. And there's also this part that just wants to let it happen and look out the window and see what's out there and just be moved through, and just the ability to recognize again in each moment which part of that, which mix of that you need is a critical skill set the higher you climb in your own personal development and consciousness development. So thank you for bringing that in. I think it's a perfect segue to have the feminine counterpart here bring some more. And the request for a song, I'll say that I consider myself at this point a recovering guitarist. So it was deeply, deeply a part of my life, and wrote music and played in bands and stuff. And at this point, it's probably not the best side of me to do in a live setting. So I appreciate the request, and I'll respectfully decline on that.
Awesome. Thanks for honoring yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Well, and Christopher, will you answer Jessica's question? Just put that up so she can see who our guest is. Thank you.
I had typed that in. I guess I didn't share it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Matt, this is so beautiful, and Christopher and everything everyone's saying, you know, that's part of what I know Megan brings to my life, is reminding me to play and dance. And that's you know, I'm a dancer. That's my gene keys, right? That's my way that I'm the most in my being in the world. And so as I'm hearing this, what I'm feeling into is how what you've really shared is you've allowed spirit to dance through you. That's what just came through, and that flow. And I love this reframe, rather than, because I get, right, we're like, it's not the destination, it's the journey. That's like a bumper sticker that is like super like in right now. And there is some beauty and truth to that it is this beautiful journey, but what if the journey looked like a dance, right? What if there was no place to go? What if it was being in each note? And I mean, what if it is about being in each note and each yummy soul yum richness in the moment? And I'm really appreciating too, you bringing in this part of you that's like masculine with this drive that's like, go, do. And that my sensing, and please tell me if this resonates and this is truth for you, is that you do that with soul alignment. That you get in alignment, you get into here's what must and is demanding flows through me, and then you honor how that wants to express in the fullness of your being. With that deep masculine, and also like bringing in potentially a softer, more, let's say, nurturing side, but that when I hear this, I feel so safe. It feels strong. It feels like often in this new divine masculine, divine feminine, the masculine's kicked out, and I don't want that to go anywhere, because as a woman, I will just speak for, I want all of those qualities to be present in all of us, and I deeply honor that beautiful masculine protector. I don't want to have to show up that way. And if you don't, then I'm forced to, because we need that synergistic figure eight that we keep making here, right? There's that balance. And so I just freaking love that and honor it and want to just share that. And I know we moved a little off topic, but it feels like, or the topic of the dance of today, but I'm loving where this is moving. And so that's what just emerged around that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. And to answer your question, maybe I'm constantly realigning in the moment. I'm not honestly sure. What I have consciously understood is that when I make decisions about how I'm going to invest my time and how I want to show up, I really get clear that if I do this, that it's a way that my gifts will be utilized. And then I think I don't have to worry about it when it's happening. It just seems to happen. So if I had to constantly be tracking, like, is this in alignment? I would go crazy. I would go crazy, because it doesn't allow for me to build enough momentum to really be like focused and driving and executing, which is I love. So yeah, my guess is it's probably happening. And I guess I'd have to let my clients let you know that for sure.
Well, what I love hearing that too, because we were talking yesterday about soul alignment and around soul yum. Like, how do you get in your soul yum? And what I hear from you is such an integration that it's become natural. That at first, it's like when you learn to drive. You're like, oh my God, and you're looking around and you're checking, am I in the lines? And then it becomes so natural. We're not thinking about the million things we thought about when we were 15 getting our learner's permit. We're just driving, and we're able to actually be on that or in the car. Which, is funny. We're talking about it's not a journey, and here I am using a car analogy, but it reminds me of that idea of learning something to where it just becomes seamless. Like, you don't think about walking, so that you're at a space where there's a knowingness, it sounds like, of you open, you flow, you trust, and what's aligned emerges, rather than constantly going, is this aligned? Is this aligned? And having to almost get in alignment paralysis, which kind of sounds silly as I say it, right?
But it's so true. Like, how many people do you meet who are waking up into their spirit, into their energy body, into their, like, getting in touch with their human, and they do the moment by moment. This feels good. It doesn't feel good. Okay, I'm going to walk over here. No, that doesn't feel good. It's like, yes, again, important for a certain part of the process. I respect and honor that. And at some point, it's crazy making to me. It's like, it's madness. So we need to tune that radar. And at some point, you need to cast out the goal a little bit further of not, like, constantly being in the check-in, but like committing to the outcome and going and making it happen, and then doing the check-in, then measuring and seeing where you've been. And again, it just depends on where you are in the journey of that.
Well, and that's very aligned with what the three of us discuss around. We focus on, this is our soul yum, and all your stuff will come to the party that's not in alignment with that. And as it comes up, you move it away, rather than always looking for, like, what's out of alignment? What's the past? Where am I in my shit? Like, can we focus on the yum and trust that, oh yeah, your upper limits will kick in, and then we can powerfully move it. But that the focus is just so different. It's such a different model. And it's not the positive psychology, ignore the garbage model either. Right? It's that integrated, different focus and being in that flow. It's really a flow model for me.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
So I would love to hear even a little bit more about, like, ways or things that we, like, for people that have had these spiritual experiences, different tools or things that they can do to help really integrate that. I'd love to hear anything you have on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. One of the main confusions that I find is that people often think that the cure to these spiritual experiences is doing more spiritual work. And it's very often not. And I want to be careful, because it sometimes is, actually. Sometimes people get stuck kind of like in between, and they haven't woken up enough to really start to integrate and solidify, and they need to do more. But oftentimes people just go down that rabbit hole, and I just want to extend the kind of knowing for people that you can stop meditating, you can stop praying, you can stop doing conscious practices. That's actually really important sometimes, and just kind of touch back into being who you are as a human. Go watch a movie, go watch TV. I do that all the time, and it's one of the most like grounding things that I can do. And people get like this neurosis about having to constantly be spiritual, and I think it puts a lot of pressure on the system. It's just too much. So that's one of the things that I recommend. And then the other thing, and there's a couple different kind of paths through this unfolding. The way this first kind of got brought out when I first started talking on this was when I first moved to California and everyone came back from Burning Man. And I had so much mess in my office because people had done massively expanding experiences socially and culturally, and they had done all these drugs. And it's okay to stop doing the fucking drugs. These can be really powerful catalysts, and they are massively disorienting, and they're not integrating. And I'm not in any way vilifying or demonizing them. They're the right thing for some people at right moments. And you need to do the conscious work to take all of what you've learned from those other spaces, make it relevant to you, make it relevant to your life, make it relevant to what you want to be building and creating. And one of the things I like to help people remember is that you get in touch with the soul is inherently destructive to anything that's not like itself. So if your life is out of alignment, you got to get ready to do the work and clean out. And it's serious work. You know, there's going to be stuff that comes up that's uncomfortable, and it's really going to be a calling into something bigger. So people leave jobs, people leave relationships, people go deeper in relationships. You know, like there's all kinds of different ways that this can show up, but it's important to recognize that all of that happens when you step foot on the yellow brick road, right? You know, we're going someplace else. So in terms of integration practices, there's lots of different stuff. You know, I think, again, deciding where you are. Do you need grounding, or do you need expanding? Do you need conscious conversations with more people? Do you need to be by yourself reading books? Do you need to be by the ocean? Do you need to be in the mountains? What is it that you specifically are needing? And let it be okay that you're messing it up, because we all mess this up along the way. We don't get it right, and not getting it right is sometimes the thing that gets us exactly where we got to go. I love the wise prophets of the 60s, the Rolling Stones, who said, you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And I think that's so like relevant and appropriate to this topic. Is sometimes we feel like we're getting our ass dragged backwards through the mud, but the place that we end up is like exactly where we needed to be, and we never could have got there any other way.
Yeah.
There's three things standing out to me right now. One is, I've said about Diana, I feel like when she's talking, I can actually enjoy sitting back and be just as glad or happier that she's talking than I am. And I'm having that same experience with you, Matt, where I'm like,
yes.
I would rather hear you talk than hear myself talk. And so really appreciating what you're bringing to all of this. And a couple of the themes that I really want to accentuate is that I'm hearing you say. One is there's a season, there's a time, a season, and a place for everything. Yeah. What I've done on my seeking journey in the past, and what I've seen so many others do, is like all this and none that, or this and not that, and all this like, and you're saying, yeah, medicine's perfect at times,
right?
For the right person, right time, right scenario. At times, it's totally not the thing to do more of when you're needing to integrate. Sometimes you might be stuck in between, and yes, that's what you need to do. So rather than making up a general rule that like this applies always, having the discernment to know what season is this for this individual and this unique experience, this setting, this experience that would best empower. So just really appreciating that about you.
And real, just to add to that, that's what I imagine what you experience when you're talking with people and you see this bigger picture, and you're like, oh, yeah. That's what I'm tuning in with. Like, oh yeah, you can see that. Like, okay, they've been doing this and this and experiencing this, and like how to best support them.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting when you're in the healer and mentor space to be doing that. It reminds me, I had a client in the office yesterday morning doing a lot of spiritual work, who's done a lot of medicine work over the past few months, is in this place where his life is reorienting again. And my my gift to him yesterday was leaving him in the mess and not helping him fix it, and leaving him really frustrated. He's probably actually angry at me today. And just knowing that it wasn't helping anything for me to try to give him more help than he actually needed. And I told him, like, hey, I get to do one of the things with you right now that I actually least like. I get to leave you in this mess and let you go take care of it yourself. And it sucks, man. As a healer, it sucks. I want everything to be better for them. And I just know, like, for some people, if you keep offering a little more help, they get reliant on it. And there's so much power in a specific man ready to be unleashed. And he just hasn't touched it yet. So I just know he's a tinder fire, man. He's a tinder pile, and he's just ready to spark and flame. And I just get to stand back and wait for the moment for that to happen. So yeah, it's a really cool process.
Beautiful discernment on your part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's fun. It's uncomfortable. It's weird. And, people don't always know what's going on, and it's just part of the deal.
I have shivers hearing that, and what I love so deeply and resonates so deeply with around that is that you're trusting what you know is, I'm going to go back to a line. This is like your soul of like, it's not this is what's actually most useful for you. And that is, in my experience as a coach, a healer, a therapist, my edge has been learning how to be so authentic and say to people, I'm going to pause you here because your story is not useful. You're here and it hurts my body to listen to you. So I actually want you to tune into where does it hurt in your body. And usually it's the same spot. And then we actually go into the healing work rather than the story. And because I've gotten to a point where I'm, as a therapist, are you kidding me? Where I'm like, nothing, shushing people, no story, because I get it like you. I see it so fast and I don't need any more to help them. And so for me, it actually becomes stepping into my own trust of, wow, it's doing people way more of a service when I'm honest and in my integrity and authentic, even though that's been one of my edges. Because I want to just, how can I love and support? And I realize, well, sometimes the most loving and supportive thing is being that firm divine parent that shows up and says, here you go. Now you get to sit with this, and through that you will find, I will give you the elements, right? You're warm, you're safe, you're not going to die here. But you got to be in this. You got to burn through your own fire. And thank you. That's just so gorgeous to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's the bitter medicine, right? It's that thing that just has to happen sometimes to catalyze people. And it's hard because people have a lot of wounding and there's a lot of trigger there. But you've got to be able to dance and like, what's that edge? Like, how am I going to take them right to that place where there's enough energy in the system that it cracks and opens and breaks through, and that they can manage that amount of energy and they don't shut down. And I have this, with my especially men and high performers. And I'm in Encinitas, so we have a lot of feminine energy here. And one of the things that I get to do with the guys is just kind of like give them that masculine to masculine challenge and just provide that, give them something to push against, because they really need that to feel themselves. And sometimes the conversation is just like, oh, Muffin, is it hard right now? Everything's really bad right now. Oh, tell me about it. Fucking fix it. Like, go make it work. You got this. And they're like, wait, like, the other guy is not being the nice guy. Like, what? I have to do this. But they get it. And when it happens, they lock in. They're like, oh, okay, thanks, cool. I'm out. I'll just go do it. So yeah, it's the right medicine for the right moment.
Beautiful.
I'm laughing even harder because I'm moving down to Encinitas. My soul has been calling me to Encinitas in particular, and I'm giggling because I have that harder energy that's a little bit more like, nope, where people expect that I'm going to be this flowing dancer that just wants to sit and adhere every detail and go into the minutia. I'm like, no. And so it becomes important, but also often a shock to the very sensitive system that wants to cuddle and wants to be in the soup of the muffin. I love that. And that's not how I roll authentically. So, yeah.
Yes.
Go, girl.
So we're getting close on time, and it's occurring to me that a lot of people, or some people, may not actually know what we mean when we say integration.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be valuable to speak to that. You know, each of us add whatever we feel we get to add. Like, what does it mean to integrate? We've talked about the importance of it. We've talked about a little bit about how to do it. What is it?
Would you like me to start?
Please.
Yeah, great. So my kind of lens on this is that we are physical, emotional, mental and spiritual beings, and we get to interact in the external world socially, culturally, financially, familially, like all these different aspects. And an integration is, how do I look at the full picture of what is going on in this moment of my life, this new energy, and how do I open up all these parts of my life in whatever way is appropriate or not? Where does this new energy need to live for me, for those around me, for those people that I serve? And then who do I need to be in order to step in and embody that and hold that energy so it serves me, those that I love, and others in the biggest way? So is it the emotional range and depth that I need to honor and value? Do I need to access my rage and my intensity, or my connection, my softness? Is there a new thought and belief that needs to happen? Or is there a new archetype of who I need to be holding and embodying? That's something I teach in my retreats. Or is there a new level of spiritual awareness and integration and connection and maybe surrender that needs to happen? So it's, to me, and this is one of the big challenges with my work, is I don't have blanket answers. I just almost never do, because the nature of who I am takes a person and says, okay, it needs to happen here and here and here and here. And in order for you to do that, you've got to do this and this and this and this. But these are the ways that this integration has to happen for you. To me, it's an omni kind of perspectival way of looking at a human and saying, okay, if we have this medicine, where does it have to land inside of you in order to have maximum benefit for all?
Beautiful expression. So, to add my little angle to what you just said, same thing from a different perspective that may help it land some more for whoever's listening. So say I go do some shamanic breath work and I move a bunch of energy and I have this vision or this idea or this clarity that comes through, and I'm like, my job sucks. Why am I can't keep doing this. This isn't aligned. Now, if I don't actually go apply that information, and then I go for my next medicine journey or breath session or whatever other method of healing I'm going to do, integration would be like you've received your clarity. Have you gone and lived it? Have you integrated the information into your life? So, or say you wanted an awesome relationship. And so you're reading book after book on relationships. You're attending seminar after seminar on relationships. Are you actually living it? Are you putting it into practice? Are you testing it? Are you seeing what works and what doesn't work, and how to personalize that experience and get the results you want? And the kind of theme I'm hearing from you is what we're promoting here at Soul Yum Life. We're saying, look, let's not focus on healing. Let's not focus on that there's something wrong with you, that you need to be fixed, that you need to be healed, that you need to anything. Let's focus from the point and just embody, I'm whole and complete. There's nothing to fix about me. And I have a life here that's doesn't have to be about struggle. It doesn't have to be about suffering. It doesn't have to be about proving myself. It can be about, how good can I stand it? It can be about, what do I choose to do with this life? It can be about, if I'm a creator and I'm not the victim of life and everything that's happening in my world, if I have choice about my life, what do I choose? And when focusing from that place, all of these other things ought to be of service to that. Simply like, okay, what's my next step to get clarity and support and alignment around creating my Soul Yum life, creating a life that I absolutely love, that lights me up. And it doesn't mean we're not going to have challenges along the way. It doesn't mean we're not going to run into counter commitments or resistance or upper limits or any of that stuff. But if we place the focus on that, just like, what do I want? What do I choose? And allowing the journey and the experience of that to be the purifying and the enlightening process, and embracing our humanity. And as we get those insights, actually applying and living them, so that we can integrate, like you're saying, rather than just tear myself down. It'd be like a house.
Yeah.
What good would it do me to start building a house? We're building a house right now. And then like we get 3/4 of the way done, and we're like, let's tear this back down, and then build it and then tear it back down. Like, what if we built it, let it sustain for a while before we decided to reorganize or restructure or remodel the thing? What if we enjoyed the creation in between, you know, instead of being addicted to the building, destroying, maybe we could have a more easeful and fulfilling and enjoyable process of bringing about our manifestations and creations and desires in the world.
Yeah, I love that. I'd like to share just a moment before the rest of the shares and just add that from my experience of stepping into, can it be easy? Can it be effortless? Can we just be in that soul flow? It's also important to remember that there's moments to suffer, and the avoidance of suffering is creating more suffering.
Yes.
There's times for struggle, and the avoidance of struggle creates more struggle. Yes. So I love the conscious choice of being in that yumminess, and that is the natural prize or the natural consequence and gift from being willing to be with all those other things when it happens.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, and I think when you be with those things, like when you're saying, that's when the integration happens.
Yeah.
That's the integration that's really taking place.
Yeah, I love that.
It's bringing it from here too, and like really embodying that and feeling that, like we're coming back down to here and into the heart, into the body, and like really feeling that and embracing it all. Mm-hmm. And you know, and that's just been my own experience too with Lyme disease, like going through, you know, it was like I got these concepts, like so much of it here, you know, and then life was like, okay, honey, now it's time to like really like experience this and like live this and feel this. And I was like, and that's all, you know, and that's what I see really as these experiences, like, you know, death and disease and all that. It's like this beautiful gift that life's bringing you to help you to really integrate mm-hmm. everything that you've experienced and all that you learning and that desire to really know, like, okay, like, yeah, you know, I was like, I want to know love and I want to experience these things. And life was like, okay, here we go.
Here you go. Buckle up.
And it was just like a massive integration that was taking place.
Yeah, amazing.
I just have to say it's really awesome to be married to someone that brilliant and amazing. Like hearing her speak, I was just like,
drink that in.
Wow.
Diana?
Yes, to everything you all said. What a very simple piece for me that's arising is around integration being around time and space, really allowing just for spaciousness. And there's a few pieces, so it's almost like when you would plant seed, allowing the integration is what happened, right? If you're constantly going out and like pulling at it and seeing if it's growing, you're ruining it. It's not going to grow. You got to leave it and allow it to. It's like to integrate, to move to its next level when the season is there, when it's ready. And that's how we are. We're often, especially with over spiritualizing or over seeking these experiences, we're not allowing the space to actually hold the wisdom and the growth and the juiciness from the one piece. Then we're off to the next. So it becomes, there's never any space to actually be with the gifts of it. Allow them to land. And the metaphor, you know, I get a lot of visual pictures. And so what I see is a mountain, and how when you're climbing Everest, you must stop and integrate. You cannot climb the whole thing. It doesn't matter how epic you are and how superhuman. Everyone has to have, what is it called, a base camp that they land at, and that you integrate, because the altitude messes with you. So I feel that that's a really interesting analogy that I'm being shown for a reason, because with spirituality, we're going up so high, and integration is actually bringing the spiritual energies down. Bringing my model is anchoring them through the heart and grounding them, and that becomes really integrated. And then how do we actually be human? So like integration, seeing that movie, reading that book, having a normal conversation that isn't hyper spiritual. And I say this from a place of being someone who's actually never in my adult life done any form of medicine, have had all organic, spontaneous Kundalini awakening, massive spiritual experiences. And from those got really high on this arrogant spiritual seeker thing, like, why would I have a conversation about this because it's not spiritual? Like, oh my God, right? It was so spiritually righteous. And it was so awesome and humbling to be like, I've been there and I've been the ultimate low level victim, like in this like garbage of like, no, but you don't understand my pain. And so for me, the integration is actually in that middle point, and it's allowing for having these peak experiences that then lift the bottom up and bring the top down so that I can actually be here in this earth realm and have, even if it's epic superhuman powers here, right? Like beautiful vision and beautiful talents. Those are never going to emerge if I'm constantly seeking and not allowing what comes in. If I'm not actually putting it into action is the other piece. Like if I'd gotten the download for that article and I didn't take that action. I took massive action. I interviewed 10 of you, reached out. I didn't know anyone and reached out. Hi, what's up? Had it done, hour interviews with everyone, and then wrote this article in under 3 weeks. And that was boom. And then I had to allow it to integrate. I actually have been wanting to do another article and my system was like, no, not yet. You wait, you allow, be with this, let what's happening, right? So it's like moving out of having to like blast forward because I have 700 other people that I want to connect with an interview, and like, really, that's not going to happen overnight. So how do I just allow this and be in the juiciness and let then what's natural, that's what I'm getting to organically emerge.
Beautiful. So I want to add a little piece that I received while you were speaking that combines one thing Matt said and one thing you said, Diana, that showed me some new things. And I'd love to hear from Matt, and I think we're due to wrap as far as timing-wise. But when you talked about, Diana, going up and getting that and bringing it back down, and Matt talked earlier about giving that out, right? So if we're going to tap in and we're going to get this awesome light from this awesome spiritual experience of whatever form, bring it down. If we just hold it here, then, you know, they say high tide raises all ships, right? So, right? So if we're going to go up and get that, come down and give it away as the flow, as the constant flow of giving and receiving, and that as we enlighten ourselves and enlighten the planet, it's in that process. And then I thought about my doctor friend who described to me how, like, he was a surgeon, and he described that in order to be qualified as a surgeon, you first have to watch someone do surgery. So first they teach you about it in a book, right? Then they have you watch it. And then they have you, let's see, I think the next step is you perform it. And then the next step is you teach someone else how to do it, right? And so you go through each one of these steps to actually integrate how to do a surgery, right? So we take it away from surgery, same thing from this. Like conceptually, let's get the concept. Then let's have the experience of it. Then let's give it away and to someone else, and then through that whole process, we've actually integrated. And no use keep going back if you haven't already answered the call that you've already received. Your inbox is full.
And in the process, it's raising all. Like it's raising the ship, and then like what Diana said too, with coming down here and coming down here, but it's bringing it up. Like we're elevating and we're raising all tides. Like, yeah. I love it.
So fun.
This is fun.
Anything else you want to add to kind of cap this thing off, Matt?
And
only if it's inspired. Don't feel pressure like you have to bring it up.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything else that's kind of lingering. Yeah, maybe just two quick thoughts. It's valuable to get help when we're in these integrations. Find people you trust and find people who have been where you want to go and been through it. I think that's really valuable and important. And also be gentle with yourself. Like, this shit is weird. It can be crazy. It can be hard. And take it easy and keep pushing, keep going, keep moving forward, and just let yourself know that it's okay, that you don't have it figured out.
It's okay to be human. It's
Yes.
okay to mess it all up. It's okay to be messy. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to be all of it,
Yes.
even everything we warned against. It's okay to go screw that up too. It's all okay. Be very, very patient with yourself.
Yes. I love that. Oh, perfect.
You.
Perfect. Thank you. So Matt, can you, I want to type in on the screen and in the messenger thread, how people can reach you and anything else. So anything you want to say again about your book or how to reach you, whatever.
Yeah, sure. So 2 ways. The website is in rebuild as we launch for the book. That should be done in the next couple weeks. So if people are watching this down the line, they can find me. There is some information at the website now, and it's drmattkay.com. Super easy.
drmatttk.com.
Yep.
DR for doctor?
drmatttk.com.
www, do that or just tell them Dr. Matt K.
If you type that into Google, you'll find me.
Dr. Matt K.
Yep. And they can also just connect with me on Facebook.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you so much. This was
Thank you.
incredible conversation. I
Fun.
love what emerged.
Yes. Love to get together too. Anytime that we come to Encinitas.
It's a deal. It's a
Love
deal.
it.
Yeah, I want to.
Come to the office. I'll get you on the table.
Cool.
We'll do it. We'll sit and breathe with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's connect and continue this connection. Really appreciate who you are, how you're showing up. I feel very much aligned with who you are and how you're showing up, and would love to continue the connection moving forward in whatever way feels awesome for all of us.
Great. I love it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.
Mm.